Welcome everybody. Today we're going to be learning how to create a program in Arduino and control our motor using a potentiometer. So the whole process, the overview of it looks something like this. We're going to read data from our potentiometer here. So the turning of the knob will read the voltage change on that middle pin, and we'll use that information to tell the Arduino to send speed commands to the ESC. So that we turn it one way, we go to full blast, turn it the other way, we go to stop. And then we'll see it work on our motor, hopefully. All right, let's get started. We have a ways to go. First thing I want you to do is go on your computer and go to arduino.cc. This is an Italian company, that's why it's not a .com. So arduino.cc, and then we're going to come up here to the sign in for the web-based programming. Is this little cloud in the upper right hand corner. You may be asked to sign in. If so, sign in. Mine will sign in automatically. Once you get signed in and you've created your account, you'll land on their home splash page with this. My advice to you is to go ahead and bookmark this page so that you can get there easily in the future. I've already done that. You click here, you can type in a short name like Arduino instead of all of this, and then mine is right here in the middle, so you can see where I have mine ready to go. All right, this is the page. Arduino has a lot of things you can do between Internet of Things, web-based stuff, Bluetooth stuff, all kinds of cool things you can work on. We're going to stay in just the sketches, just creating programs to download to the Arduino. So what we're going to do is click on the Sketches tab here. That'll bring up just your sketches. And here we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call this ROV, and I'm going to name mine 2024-5 because I have a new one every year and I'm not allowed to use dashes. Let's see if underscore works. Underscore works, but not dashes. And I'm going to hit continue. So now I've got this ROV 2024-2025 folder. We're going to try and keep all of our stuff organized. So I'm going to click on that real quick. Maybe not then. Then I'm going to come up here and do a create new sketch. This will take me to the programming environment for Arduino. So you'll see it'll pop up here. All right, everything's ready to go. We've got a few parts to go over. This is where you'll be doing your programming. If you notice that my font is crazy huge, I made it big. I'll show you how to do that. And down here is the console. So this is going to give us a lot of important information when we go to upload our sketch. And if there's any errors, it's going to tell us what the errors are down here in the console. For now, I'm going to hit minus to collapse that. I can bring that console back just by hitting up this up caret. I can toggle it open and closed. Over here on the left is all kinds of cool stuff. So we click over here, we get some examples. So these are some built-in stuff. These are fairly basic, but if you want to see how something works, you can run some of these examples. The library is going to be really important for us. We'll learn about what a library is later, but the short of it is other people have generated code to solve certain tasks and do certain things for us, and they share that code in what's called a library. You can load that library to your program and then use their code to do stuff with, instead of having to figure out how to make everything work on your own. So it's super powerful. We'll use a library when we go to actually spin the motor. All right, this next one is reference. So this is a really powerful tool. So if you can't quite remember how something works, so you're like, oh, I know I need a digital read. You can click here and it will run you through a description of what the digital read is, give you some sample code, refresh your memory on how to use it. You're going to probably use this third one down, this reference thing, from time to time, or a lot, hopefully, throughout the course. All right, the last one's down here in the lower left-hand corner. This is your preferences tab. The themes, dark is coming soon, but it's been coming soon for about a year now, so we'll see about that. Dark is really nice. It'll just turn all the backgrounds black so you're not staring at a white screen the whole time. This is where you can change your font size. I don't recommend programming in huge font. I do it so you can read it easier in the video. 28 points the max. Choose whatever size you want. Make sure your enable autosave is turned on. That way it'll be saving constantly instead of losing your work from time to time. Enable auto selection. So what this will do when you plug in an Arduino, it will automatically select it. That doesn't always work, but having it on is helpful. And then down here, the console verbosity. So verbose means wordy. So this is how wordy the console output is. So a concise output will tell you just the most important things. A verbose output will mean that there'll just be a lot more details in the console output down here. You'll see that later. It's already pretty verbose. You can try either way. It doesn't hurt anything to try either thing. And then the last thing is restore settings to default. If something gets messed up and you're not quite sure how to get back to where it was, hit restore to default. Everything will go back. These settings here will go back to their starting settings. All right, so that does that. I'm going to hit the X up here to close out this side menu because I don't need it right now. And we're going to go ahead and start talking about the programming environment. So up here is where you're going to actually type in your program. This first part here, there's a slash, asterisk, asterisk, slash. Anything in between those, so starting right here and then ending right here, is a multi-line comment. So anything on these lines in between this start and this stop is just a comment. It's there for humans, not for the computer. So it won't be used by the Arduino at all. The Arduino will just skip it when it does its compiling. This is oftentimes used to describe what the program does. So we can go ahead and actually start programming that. So this sketch, and Arduino uses the word sketch to refer to a computer program in Arduino. So Arduino programs are called sketches. This sketch controls a brushless motor using a potentiometer as input. So some of the things that we usually put in this are where everything's plugged in at. So right now we know where our potentiometer is plugged in. We have it wired already. I'm going to do potentiometer, if I can spell it, potentiometer. And next to that, I'm just going to say mine is currently plugged into A0. And then I'm going to actually use pin 3 for the brushless motor. So brushless motor. Three. All right, this really helps me if I need to test out your code and make it work on my computer and test it on my computer. I'll know right away where to change my plugins for my devices in case you're using different ones. We'll all use different ones over time. All right, so that's good. We haven't wired the brushless motor yet. Let's pause and do that. So over here on my Arduino, I need to get some jumper wires. So the ESC is what drives the motor. So it sends those on-off signals to the three sets of coils of wires inside the motor, turning them on and off in just the right order to kick the magnets around and keep them going, and to decide how fast to kick them around. To send the signals, we're using this cable here. So we need to connect this to the Arduino. This has 3 wires on it. It has a yellow wire, or a yellowy orange wire here, a red wire in the middle, and a brown wire on the outside. That brown wire on the outside, that's ground. So we're going to take a short jumper wire, and we're going to run it from the same row there as ground. I need a really short jumper wire. So I'm going to connect that to the negative rail, because that's connected into a ground wire, over to that same row. So anything in this row is all connected together through one metal wire that's underneath all those pins. All these pins are connected. So now I've got ground connected to brown. The red wire I don't need yet. Here's what the red wire is. A lot of people think it's power going back this way. So they plug the 5 volt into the red, but it's not that. The ESC is going to get its power directly from the battery we plug in later. It's going to get all its power from there. This red wire is actually sending power back towards the Arduino. The purpose for this is called a BEC circuit. It's called a battery eliminating circuit. Normally when you would do a project like this, you'd have to add a second battery to run the Arduino with, because the Arduino is going to need power once we unplug it from our computer and run it inside the submarine. Instead of that, this little device sends 5 volts, or I think it's 9 volts, sends voltage back down the red wire that's meant to run into the Arduino's VN port. So later on when we go to put it in something, we'll take a wire from this middle red pin over to the VN port on the Arduino. So we can actually power the Arduino with that. All right. Now the next thing we need to plug in is this yellow wire. This yellow wire is a signal wire. This is where the Arduino is going to be sending the speed signal to the ESC. And this we're going to use pin 3. We could use any of the tilde pins for this purpose, and this wire is going to be way too long. Let's see, I'm going to get a red one. So I'm going to go from pin 3 on the Arduino, bend it straight over, and then go to the outside pin, the yellow pin on the Arduino. And again, anywhere inside there is totally fine. I'm going to orient the wire so it's not blocking anything. I don't want it covering up any of the other pins on the Arduino, and I don't want it like going diagonally if I can across the circuit board, blocking a bunch of stuff. All right, so I think that looks pretty nice. Keep your wires neat, because as you need to change stuff and rewire things, if they're a mess, you're going to be unplugging lots of stuff while you're doing it and having all kinds of a nightmare. All right, now we've got our potentiometer wired correctly. We have our ESC wired correctly, and now we just need to start doing some coding. Note that the motor will not run until you get the big battery and plug it in. We can do a lot of work without having that battery plugged in yet, and before we plug it in, we're going to do a safety check. I think that's it for this video. We'll pick up here in the next one with the actual programming. Good job so far. Hang in there.